Hello and welcome to GYSB Talks. Get your sexy back talks with host Carla Palmer. That's me. Welcome to another episode. This is the #1 podcast for women 50 plus who want to elevate to their next level of optimal living. Here at GYSB Talks, we focus on a holistic approach to wellness, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally, and in relationships. I am so happy and oh so grateful that you are here with us today and every week. Now, let's get into today's topic, shall we? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of GYSB Talks. I am your host, Carla Palmer, and today we are joined with my girl, Maia Parish. Maia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Maia Parish is a Denver-based sommelier, wine writer, wine educator, wine judge, award-winning events producer, consultant, and mompreneur. And she was recently nominated as Sommelier of the Year. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so today, you guys, I brought the wine experts to have this chat about my favorite thing to do, which is have wine. And I want to have you on because it's a lot of people's thing to do, right? With women loving going to brunch, we love having wine with our meals. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of an education on wine. And I thought you would be the perfect person to do that. So let's start off by telling everybody how you got into the wine business.
I have always worked like in two jobs, right? I always had like a day job and a night job. I started out in um, wanting to have my own business, and I started out in catering.
Okay.
My first love is food, so just let's be clear. Okay, I started out in catering. In my mid-20s, I moved to DC and really started to cultivate a couples catering company. And we worked with 2 to 4 people, and it was cool because I did like to cook. I learned a lot. I have been working in restaurants since I was 16, all areas of restaurants, from openings to front of the house, back of the house. Every blue moon with the sous chefs or the chefs or cooks will let me cook a dish. I
Mm-hmm.
got to learn a lot about cuisine. Um, when I was in Georgetown, DC, I was at this restaurant back in the day called Georgetown Seafood Grill, and it was more upscale. And so I learned that was my journey into wine. They had all this French wine there that I didn't even know about. And, we were just like drinking stuff but I didn't get it. I was drinking Sutter Home at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was selling it out. Don't get it twisted. I single-handedly raised the price in my area, okay? And
That's
I'm not kidding. But so all of those fields, I worked for the government at the time, but all of those fields kept merging. And so I one day I took a catering job that was it broke me. And so, oh, it broke me. It was for 30 people, and it was 3 courses, and it was only me and my sister. I had to recruit her. And I really quickly realized why I didn't do larger events, because that was larger for me. It took us 16 hours, transport. It was just a lot. And I was like, this is a lot of work. I really just want to eat. Anyway, I took a class. Well, I saw that people kept asking me about wine. So I went to take a class, which I thought it was like a tasting, but it ended up being a class. Ended up being the WSET, which is the Wine and Spirits Education Trust, which is what I have. It was the level 2 class. Okay. And I sat in that class. I said, this is not a tasting. And then I was like, oh, I had my Oprah moment. I said, damn, I should have been here this whole time. Because food and wine and stuff. And then he was talking about these regions. I got so happy. And then I was quickly followed by anger, rage, because I had already spent like $100,000 on on a almost master's program. And I didn't even want to be there. I was in HR by then. You know, in DC, everybody has a master's, so you just go along with the program. And so I just stayed in the class. So I passed the exam, and then they were like, then I got a job in Atlanta, Maryland, or Laurel, Maryland at Total Wine. And you had to take a test to be on the wine team. So I knew enough to get on there.
Okay.
And so I worked for them off and on for about 3 terms, I'll say for over 2 or 3 years. They had an excellent education program. You got to drink wine. They put me in the Chardonnay aisle, and I was pissed because I don't like Chardonnay, didn't like Chardonnay at the time, but it was the biggest aisle for white wine because it's the largest produced. And I learned, it just changed me. I only reference that now because I kind of lost. I drank so much California Chard, I stopped liking it. But I just over the last 3 years, my love for Chardonnay has resurged because I've been tasting other regions and my palate has increased. And then I started taking the level 3, and I've been going since then. And just I can't emphasize how much the world of food and wine can put you in spaces with everybody you can imagine. I've been in the room with diplomats, dignitaries, ambassadors, a president of a country, millionaires, celebrities, music execs, everybody, business, commerce, real estate, but also just being with regular people like myself. I'm front of the house and back of the house. Okay. Um, I mean,
Let
I
me
live the world of Brugetto, if you want to be honest.
let,
My personal life is one space, and I pour in, we poured $2 million worth of wine last year at one event.
so
So,
let me ask you this. So, wine has a reputation of being very sophisticated, right?
mm. So when you say that, so I'm in therapy now. And so when I've learned about therapy is that I am not a good listener. Okay. I can hear people, but I'm not a good listener. And so I'm now checking. I ask people, what do you mean when you say that? Because I have my own definition of what sophisticated means.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you personally believe, or do you think that's a general consensus? Because
I
I
think,
don't think that
yeah.
I hear the wine is sophisticated.
Yeah, no, I hear that a lot, and I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's a personal
Mm.
thing that I just like. And
I have
fine.
been around you, Carla. You are very sophisticated.
But listen, though, I think that it is intimidating to some people. And like you're saying, you've been in rooms, where all of these dignitaries and all these different people are congregating. And I think some people feel intimidated. So, how do
Okay,
we
I can
talk
see
about
that.
wine when we're in spaces like that and it's all about wine in those spaces?
I want you to think winemakers are essentially farmers at
Hmm.
heart. That's what they are. They're not people who own the vineyards, own the wine, they're farmers. So let's start there. We're talking about juice. Okay. All right. So now, there is expensive juice and then there's less expensive juice. But at the heart, we're talking about juice and consumption. And then we're talking about what you may or may not like. Yes, do we in the wine community laugh and make fun of people who hold their glass like this? Because you're not supposed to hold your wine glass, by the base. Okay. Why? In education, it can have it can your hands warm the glass, change the temperature. So white rosé and sparkling wine, you don't want to do that, right? You can do that if it's a red and it's cold and you're trying to warm it up. But for the most part, that. Then when we're tasting and we're actually going through our education, if you got perfume on your hand, you
Hmm.
got things on your hand, you can smell that. It can make you're off. You can't wear any perfume or lipstick or any really makeup, right? When you're taking your exam, because it can change the way you evaluate the wine when you're doing blind
Interesting.
tastings. If I were to go to my educational class and I pick the wine up like this, automatically kicked out.
Really?
Automatically kicked out. Ding, X. So the stem is for you to hold. For you to hold. You can hold it here or you can hold it here.
What about the
But that's
stemless glasses that are so popular?
okay. Now I don't even want to talk about that. I'll just say use rosé when you're drinking those glasses, or if you're outside, do what needs to be done. I don't care really what you do, right? As long as I don't see it in a red cup, I'm mad about that whole process. And do you know if you drink it in the red cup, you are literally drinking a cup and a half of wine? Because
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
those lines tell you how much wine anyway. So yeah, no. And it does taste different in plastic.
It really
It
does.
does. Yeah, so it does play a little game with your audience. Your audience can play a little. Like, get one bottle, pour it in a plastic cup, pour it in a regular cup glass, pour it in a mug, pour it in a cheap wine glass, and then find you, if you can, a sommelier level wine glass. How can you tell? If you look at the bottom of the base and you see writing, that's probably a som level wine glass. Okay. If you
Really?
go to a nice restaurant and you don't see writing at the bottom of the in the menu, and then they have an extensive wine list, I want you to walk out.
Really?
I ain't playing. And you can tell them I said so.
I bet you we be walking out of a lot of restaurants.
Walk out. Yes, I want people to start checking. If you paying that much for that wine and you're in some upscale spot or even a regular spot and you're at least paying over, let's see, $50 for a bottle, check the bottom.
Oh, I can guarantee you they don't have those glasses.
Okay, and ask them why. I'm spending this money on this wine. I need to taste it in the way it should be consumed. I just want to know, why don't you guys have at least some wine level wine glasses or sommelier level wine glasses? And if you ask enough, they'll change it.
That's so interesting.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay.
so that's kind of how you get in it. So I say wine is juice. Their farmers is juice. Start there. Secondly, you just need to care about your palate. You don't need to care about my palate. You don't need to care about those points, right? You need to care about what you like to drink
Okay.
and then explore. Don't stay in the same spot. If you like Chardonnay, explore different Chardonnays all over the world. Don't stay with California or Napa Chardonnay, right? Start drinking Australian Chardonnay. Start drinking Chardonnay from Chile. Start checking out South African Chardonnay, right? For people who like the sweet wine. So when I worked at Laurel, Maine, I worked at Total Wine in Laurel. This is how I actually started my business. The winemaker, and this ain't no joke, the management there. Now, y'all know PG County is like literally half black, okay? Now, it used to be like more than that. It used to be like 72%, but I think it's like 62 now. Black, you have black now, foreign nationals. So I say everybody African, everybody Caribbean, and then you had the white customers.
Okay.
My boss wanted us to only peddle to people who were buying cases, so he made it very specific. And I did not like that. So I was like, fine, I'll take the black people, literally. So I used to work the tasting table, and I was a dictator. You couldn't come and tell me, I want to try that. I'm like, nope, this is all free. We're going to try everything on this gosh dang table, and then you're going to get to the one you like because you might find something you like. In that process, I started having conversations and my palate was growing. I was leaving Moscato and Sutter Home, and I'm trying all these different wines. They gave you, if you work part-time, they gave you 6 bottles a month per region to try. Right? If you work full-time, you got a case, just so y'all want to work at Total Wine. But they'll work you. Anyway, I started to, people like, so they were like, do you do this would you come to the house and teach us?
Right.
And I was like, okay, right. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I just went to the house and started talking to him about wine, and I started learning more. And that's kind of how I used to call it silver linings. And now that's how the wine suite came to be. And so, and who knew? Um, and so, I think that there is once you get into spaces where you're in regions that are known to be prestigious, like Burgundy, right? Chablis, or people love the Super Tuscans and all this other champagne. And I personally love champagne. I rebelled against France as hard as I wanted to, and now I'm trying to learn how to speak French because I'm like, I love it here. You think you have your own notions, but there are etiquette rules. There are spaces where if you know certain things about wine, you can get into a room with people who are making money, right? It is a marker in certain places. Yes, I have seen that. In places of lux, if you know some vintages, there's people in my community that only study certain stuff just so they can it's an elitist thing, right? Especially these white men, right? And then there's trendy elitists, there's trendy, I call riche, things that people are just trying to sell, and like,
All
and
the
that I
celebrities
do,
have their alcohol now.
huh?
The celebrities have their own brands now.
Well, go look at the numbers. So let's get into marketing. Okay. Go look at the numbers. For example, the community of canned wine seltzers, canned wine, fizz, White Claw. Let's look at White Claw. I personally don't understand the purpose of spiked water. I don't care if it's flavored anyway.
It sells.
That's just not me. And so I don't get it. However, if you go look at the company, their growth now, they're losing now, right? I think they are about to sell or they sold for
Really?
yes, but they sparked in a low-key way. Now wine sales, wine seltzer, wine can, spritzers, projected sales 8 billion by 2035.
8
Even
billion.
if you don't like it, you gonna produce a canned version if you're smart, because that's where we're headed. The State of Wine Union came out the last 5 years in a row, and when the last one came out, I was up for an entire week, and just like they're not listening. The statistics for millennials consumption has not shifted. They are not drinking wine. They've risen in every other beer,
Why not
craft
wine?
beer. Oh shoot, even non-alcoholic drinks have risen. Fizz, the can industry, every brand has gone up except for wine. And
Why?
the reason why is because they have been very clear about what they want, and the wine industry just won't listen. They're like, we got time, because we're gonna count on our boomers that are just still doing premium wine sales, which made a little spike. But I was like, that was because of COVID, y'all. People was at the house, but they're going to die soon. And no one's talking to us. We're Gen X, but okay, we're not even in the conversation. So if you look at the numbers for millennials, they are not consuming wine. I was so obsessed. I went to look at the last 6 years and found a video segment where he said the same thing, and my crazy butt stitched them all together. It's just in my file because I haven't released it. I just be like, he said this 23, 22, 20. I mean, excuse me, 22, 21. It's in this every year, and we haven't done anything about it. They want transparency in regards to what people are putting in the wine. They
Yeah.
want to know, are
Yeah.
you sustainable, organic, or biodynamic? There's a lot of different misinformation about that. People talking about clean wine. Don't start with me because there isn't any. But we're not going to go there. I don't care what these two people are selling you, okay? Wine is it's a chemical process that produces byproducts that are called sulfates, right? No matter what you do, basically go Google it. Now, they have devices that can remove sulfates,
Yeah.
and then they have people who add them and then people who don't add them, okay? Now, that is all a process and they're all different, right? Because naturally made wine is not necessarily natural wine, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm.
Okay. And so there's all this misinformation about that out here in these streets. And so once you understand the actual definitions between biodynamic, sustainable, and organic, not the same thing, then you can kind of go through those things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what millennials want. They also want to know, do you treat your employees well?
Yeah.
How are you treating the brown people? They care about that, and they should. They want to know what is your message? Are you being more inclusive? They
Yeah.
say the same thing every year. You can go look up the report. I think it's Uncorked. Just had the black state of wine. African American state of wine was on August 24th. I'm going to go actually purchase it because I want to see what the report's about. But it's the business. A lot of celebrities are getting into it because it's billions of dollars. Beverages, spirits, you saying it's not a purposeful thing. And let me be clear, some people own and some people own. Puffy does not own Ciroc, and actually he is out of there, right?
Yeah.
So Rick Ross does not own. Don't ask me about Luke Belair. He don't own that, and don't ask me. That is not champagne. Stop asking me if it's champagne, y'all. It is produced in France. It is sparkling wine of France. Probably has some similar grapes. Method production probably similar, but it's not champagne.
Feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or just in need of a little self care? Are you ready to embark on a journey of healing and self discovery? Well, the Journal Journey Travel Set by Beautiful Intentions is here to help. Curated thoughtfully by a mental health expert, this set harnesses the proven benefits of journaling, reducing stress, enhancing mood, fostering self awareness, and advancing healing. With a beautifully crafted journal, premium creative tools, and a guide to maximize your practice, your Journal Journey Travel Set is certain to launch you into a wellness revolution that promises you the peace and tranquility that you deserve wherever life takes you. It's time to prioritize your emotional well being and begin your healing journey today. Visit mybeautifulintentions.com and use the code GYSBtalks for an exclusive offer. The Journal Journey Travel Set, your gateway to a healthier, happier, more beautiful you.
Yeah, I just recently poured at the Aspen Food and Wine. For the second year, I was at the Black on Black dinner. This year, I was honored enough to work with Wine Unify, and recently was honored to pour for the Aspen Food and Wine that weekend. And so we had Dwayne Wade, and we had Channing Frye, we had CJ McCullen, we had Artie Smalls, we had the McBride sisters with their upper echelon, the McBride collection. We had Bed-Stuy, Champagne, Marvina Robinson. Oh, and Carmelo Anthony has a Chateauneuf de Paf Grenache from France, which
Really?
I am telling you is really pretty good for their first vintage. And his team, and he's introducing the audience to a grape that I love, Grenache. and a region that people should know about, right? They're going to get curious, especially Black culture, our audience, you know.
I don't know
I
why I
want
thought Grenache was Spain.
you have that's so you have that's it's called Grenache.
Okay.
It is the same grape, but they
Okay.
call it Grenache over there. So lighter style, I'll say, in my opinion. Grenache in French is a little bit more concentrated, not in regards to color, but it's a mid. It could be a medium body to a lighter, full body grape, and it's very food friendly. The one in France, and then in the one in Spain is I like to just sip it. The 100% Garnacha from Spain, most of those regions it's a lighter style red. I like to drink it in the summertime because it's not heavy. Now,
Okay.
if it's blended in other regions, yeah, they blend it with several grapes over there that are heavier, and then you can have wines in that region that are spicy, yeah.
Okay.
And
Can
that's
we
what you
talk
mean by
about
both.
full body, medium body, all that? Can we
Body has to do with the weight of the wine in your mouth. So there is so for the most part, white wine is considered a light to medium bodied style. Okay. Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc, um, you know, uh, Torontes is a white that I've been loving. You can get heavier, or you can get a white. I haven't had too many full body whites. I mean, really rarely. And if that was a case, most whites that are heavier, they're going to be medium bodied. And that's literally you drink. So if you let wine sit in your mouth, you'll notice the weights. And it's a brain mental thing, but white is lighter, it flows lighter, right? Medium, medium rosé. Most wines are fit in the medium category if it has to do with rosé, it has to do with like a Chardonnay can be a medium white because it has oak presence. Chenin Blanc, which is in France and in South Africa, and for the most part can be I've had a heavier style. A full body wine is mostly a red style, can be rosé, and that it's the weight in your mouth. Most there are not too many red wines that are medium bodied, but they can be. Most reds are going to be full bodied.
Okay.
Again, the
Okay.
weight. And that has to do with oak presence and grape styles.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Some grapes can hold the weight, like Chenin Blanc and Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Chardonnay is the number one grape for Champagne. Champagne's made with Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. So think of it like Chardonnay gives it finesse, if you want to call it. I think of when I did the education class, think of it Helen Mirren. And then I look at Pinot Noir like it gives structure and body can sometimes, right, to the wine. So it kind of reminds me of Diane Carroll. I consider her, in that way. And then Pinot Meunier is fruity, it's lively. It can give weight, right? But I like to call her Rita Monero in
Mm.
my mind, so and culturally it all works too, right? And just to grab everybody, not but so those are the main three grapes in Champagne, and Pinot Noir and Chardonnay are like, Pinot Noir is Burgundy. People don't know it's red Burgundy. That's Pinot Noir. Chardonnay, white Burgundy, and Chablis. People like, I don't like Chablis. I don't like Chardonnay, but I'll drink Chablis. I'm like, it's the same thing, y'all.
Oh, oh, oh.
Chablis is Chardonnay. White Burgundy, Chardonnay.
Hmm.
Okay. I love white Burgundy. I love Chablis. I'm still getting into red Burgundy, but you start to like what you like, right? So that has to do with weight. Color, we ask about color. We're looking at the wine, and like if it's If it's white, we have to tell them, is it yellow? Does it look like straw? Is it gold? Is it lemon color? Is it light lemon? You know, is it a spun gold, right? If for red, is it garnet? Is it purple? Is it does it have brown undertones, right? You're looking for very good descriptors. That's
Mm.
just on the education side. And you know, people in wine education is about, mostly it's about bugs and dirt. It's about farming. It's about geography, a lot of geography, and it's about tasting. You know, the tasting part of it is kind of like last. We focus so much on that, but and when people call me about the certifications, I'm like, don't spend all that time trying to figure out what's in that glass. Okay, you need
Mm.
to go to those books and know about production. You need to know about, service. You need to know about the grapes and where they came from. Um, the WSET level 3, if you Google it, one of the hardest tests in the world. The CSW certified specials of wine, one of the hardest tests in the world. Master wine and master sommelier. Master wine over here, education. Master sommelier, they up here. They way above PhD level. Go Google if you want to. Okay. I'm never going that far ever. Just so we're
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
I have no desire. Okay. But I'm gonna probably stop at the CWE educator because I am trying to build a wine education center here in Denver, Colorado. Business plan is done and is being vetted. I like credentials for personal, but I don't like credentials you won't see my credentials out in the streets. Like, it ain't on all my cards and stuff like that. No one cares but me, right? But if I get into a space where I'm challenged by other people, I'm going to need to know how to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I do now. I'm getting confident in that point. And I have a dyslexia and ADHD, was diagnosed in my 30s. So the maps they can be devastating at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, can you talk about how to read the wine labels, just so people have a good
Okay.
just the basics.
So wine labels are different for every region, if you want to say it like that. The ones in the US, that's the American AVA, okay? So if we're talking about American wines, you just want to look for a couple of things. Here we got one from South Africa, black winemaker, Tanashi, Kamusha wine, love them, South Africa, right? So name of the wine has to be the label, and the name has to be prominently on the front.
Okay.
The year has to be on the front. This is the year it was bottled.
Okay.
The name of the grape usually is on the front. Turn it around. Should have the country and the distributor. But if you're trying to look at it, should have and it should have at least the milliliters, how much is in there, and here's the alcohol percentage.
That's important.
So alcohol percentage, you should look on the back. If you don't see it on the back, sometimes they'll have it in over here. This is not one. But if you can't find the alcohol percentage on the back, look on the corner of each of the labels. They have to
What?
put the percentage on there. Yeah.
It has to be on there though.
Yeah, by law, every country. So here's Germany. Okay. Here's a German label. They have the year, the name of the winery. Von, I believe in Germany means vineyard or castle or something like that, right? And then so this and then right here they have the this is the region, okay? Because German laws are different. But then if you spin around the back, it has to have, this is a high-end German wine. So if anybody likes Riesling, look for the Golden Eagle. It's on the neck. Okay, this is the high-end stuff. I said stuff, thank God.
I know you
All
caught
right.
yourself.
I caught myself. Okay. And then here says 13% alcohol. And it tells you how much. And here are the producers, the distributors, they're in New York. So all they have to have that on the label. If you do not see that on a wine bottle, then it is not wine. Verde is not wine, please. Stop asking me what no. If it has actual juice in it, that is not full wine. People like that stuff minks that Nicki Minaj peddles, and that's not wine. That's like malt liquor with some effervescence and some fruit in it.
The last question I have is are there any apps that you would recommend people use?
Yeah, I love Benvino. It's a free app. You take a picture of the label, upload it. It tells you everything about it, the region where you can get it. You can even purchase on there because sometimes they have deals, but I would ask you to go to your retailer, especially your local. First, start with your local mom and pop shop for y'all go to the high-end retailers, but ask them, do they have the wine? But if not, yeah, go find it. If you are a collector, then Delectables are a really good app for you for your inventory.
Okay.
And then Wine Folly, I don't know if they have an app, but her site is very informative. I've seen her do a lot of allied work within the beverage space.
I forgot to ask you this too. Wine storage. So when you buy bottles, most people buy bottles from Whole Foods or the grocery store, right? So they get
Right.
their wine. How are you storing your whites and your reds? And how long does the wine last once it's open?
Okay, so I say you should store your wine. If you don't have a wine fridge, store it in a closet that's not hot, right? So like a pantry closet would work. Um, Not a closet or a place in the garage because your garage can get cold or hot. You want to store it in a darker place for the most part. Um, but yeah, in a closet. You want to store it. So white wine lasts. Most young wines last. You should consume within about 6 months. So
Okay.
like, you know, but if it has oak in it, like Chardonnay, Champagne, Chenin Blancs, you know, they take some Sauv Blancs. You can keep those for a very long time.
Okay.
Champagne can keep for up to 20, 30. I mean, a couple hundred years.
No
They
matter
just
what
found
you paid for it, as long as it's a real champagne.
a real champagne or champagne method. Uh, it has to have some oak presence to it. So red wine. Red wine keeps much longer. Again, because oak presence. Usually average time, consume within 5 to 7 years. If
Okay.
it's like a cab or, you know, a more intense concentrated grape. A lighter style grape can last, 2 to 3 years. It depends on where it's coming from. You want to store them again in either if you have a wine fridge or storage. If you have racks and all your wine is like this, right? If it's I like to turn mine every quarter, so my corks, just because I'm crazy, especially my good stuff. Just every quarter I turn mine just a little bit so my
Yeah.
corks don't dry out. If you got them standing up, I wouldn't recommend that for good wine. Your cork could dry out. If you open the wine, white wine lasts 3 to 5 days
Okay.
unless you have a really good vacuum system. If you
Okay.
have sparkling wine, get you a champagne stopper that is made out of stainless steel, folks. Okay, because the other ones they're hit or miss. And it's a stopper that you can put with these rabbit ears, and it can keep your up to a full sparkle for about 2 to 5 days. It depends. You can get devices that will help you with vacuum and storage. Coravin, I have one that it literally you put the needle in the bottle. It
No,
sucks
it's
the
so
wine up.
It's so great.
And you don't even have to open a bottle. You can stick a bottle 10 times before it's compromised, okay? It is a worthy investment. They are not cheap, but on Black Friday, they have a sale, so don't trip. And if you're in trade, which is in food, beverage, spirits, you can get a discount. But if it's red, if it's open, you have about a 7 to 14 days corked. If you have a vacuum system, it's probably about a month, right? That sucks the air out. If it's storage wise, again, I would tell you definitely do some research because it depends on it. But for the most part, if it's a lighter white, 2 to 3 years. Like this bottle started in 19, right? So you can hold this it's already 4 years old. Okay. So keep that in mind, right? I wouldn't hold this for another 6 years. I would probably consume this now, definitely now, but in the next 5 to 7 years, if you're trying to hold on to something like that. The most thing I love about food and wine is that it doesn't matter who you are standing in front of, what they look like, what they think about you, they feel about you. You can always start and ask them, hey, what are you eating? What is that? What do you like to eat? To connect with someone. And you can learn a lot about people during food. You're going to get to know me and then you can't not like me, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just a conversation starter. You can go to any country and not speak the language and be like, you can be like, what are you guys eating? What are you doing? And then to have conversations and meet people in food and wine spaces. And it has taken me to just places I would have never thought was possible.
Yeah. How do people stay connected with you? Where would you like for them to, if they want to?
Mostly find me at The Wine Mistress.
Okay.
All on social media or The Wine Suite.
Okay.
My company's called The Wine Suite. We are located in Denver, but we also cover Denver, New York, Oregon, and Cali. And then I'm on social media as The Wine Mistress.
Okay.
You guys can look for our podcast, Hungry, Tipsy, and Grown, with a TH on the end. So we have evolved from talking about being grown, and grown with growth, right?
Oh.
So, because I want to talk to people over food and wine, how they're growing. I'm about to be 50 in March. So we're all, I got to keep flipping that.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
I was educated myself. I love it. I knew I would be. So if you guys want to stay connected with me, you can follow me on social media, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at GYSB Movement. Please like and subscribe on the podcast, GYSB Talks. We'd love to hear your feedback. There's a Q&A section below. You can always feedback there. Or you can email me at gysbmovement@gmail.com or just DM me on one of the social media sites. Maia, it has been a pleasure. And I will talk to you later.
I will talk to you soon, girl.
All content on this podcast and any linked blog, podcast, webinar, course, or video material is created and produced for informational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal circumstances or complete health objectives. Do not use this content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional based on our content here on this podcast. If you have questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a medical professional.